In this exercise, you will be completing negative space drawings. For a little more information about this, you can read the assignment that I posted on Brightspace, but also open your freehand sketching book to page 18. And it goes through some examples here where really nice. So negative space, you're drawing contour lines, which means they're just basic line drawings. You can see the line type here. It's just one line. But this example, you can see how you show like overlapping, which leaves are in front of the stem or in front of the pot. You see some of the details of the stems of the leaves. This is what you would typically think when you're looking at an object and drawing an object. But with negative space, which is more along the lines of these two drawings, you're looking at the space in between, the void space. So you're looking between the leaves here, and you're drawing that shape that you see between the leaves. So think about where the object meets the background. It could be the sky, or it could just be any kind of setting that it's in. That's the line that you want to practice drawing. The reason we do this is so we can sharpen our observational skills. We want to be able to draw an object as it really is and not how we think it might be. So that's why this exercise is important in terms of sharpening those hand-eye coordination and just the ability to observe. There's a few more examples here. This is a nice one because it definitely shows you're not looking at any detail, on this pail or any bits of overlapping objects. It's only as the object meets the background, the void space. So for this exercise, you'll first start with an image that I provide, or you could do that later on your own time since we are on a field trip right now. And then you'll move to objects, larger objects. I would look for things that are a little more complicated, like maybe a street lamp, maybe a couple different objects together. So any kind of like street furniture, even vegetation. And then you'll also do 3 skylines as well. So 3 objects, 3 skylines, and then 1 based on an image that I'll provide. And you want to fill the page with each one. So you'll have quite a few. And then as you can see here, this is an example of a skyline. I also would like you to come back with watercolor and add a nice wash in the negative space. So that way you're practicing your line work and your watercolor skills at the same time. So just a quick example to make sure we're on the same page about what negative space means. This is just a pair of scissors. And instead of thinking, okay, I know what scissors look like, so I'm going to draw, the outline, and I know that they come to a point. I'm not going to do that. I'm really going to take my time, and I'm going to look at what kind of shapes are being created between the object itself and the background. So I'm really going to focus first on this kind of diamond shape in the center. And so take your time and use one solid line where you're practicing those even strokes. So that's about what I'm seeing here for the middle. And then the next part, I'm just really going to kind of observe, okay, what is that curve like? Kind of jumps here. And it's okay if it doesn't look exactly like the object. This is more about learning how to observe. Okay, and then I've got this circle in the middle. It's closer to this side than this side. Okay, so I'm going to focus on creating that circle. Okay, and then I would carry on and complete the rest of the drawing, but just to show you the watercolor portion, of course you can use either method. What color? Choose the red. I'm going to start with the dry on dry. But the most important thing is you want to use a lot of water because you want to keep that leading edge as wet as possible because you need to drag the pigment and you don't want it to dry on you because if it dries it will create this line around the object and you don't want that. You want the watercolor to spread. So I'm working fairly quickly here, and then I would like for there to be a bit of a gradient. And I'm putting both of these on one sheet, but you will obviously have only one drawing per sheet, so you'll have more room to work with. See how I'm adding more water and it's gonna start to spread. Maybe add a little bit. So I'm combining here the wet on wet method and the wet to dry method. And then for the middle here, you could start with just pure water. And then add the color. And remember not to overwork. Because the more you work with it, sometimes the gummier the paper becomes, the less it does what you want it to do. So you can even see here, I'm kind of pushing the limits a little bit. You could even experiment with adding a couple different colors if you want to mix a little bit. You'll see what happens when I add in that yellow, and then maybe fade into a new color. I wouldn't get too carried away, maybe 3 colors max, but have fun with it. And I think this exercise will be a great way to get fully comfortable with the watercolor and the ink drawing.